Graham has been requesting me on Patreon to review the Halloweentown sequels, so now we've reached the fourth and at the moment final film in the series. To quickly sum up my thoughts on the previous movies, I liked the first Halloweentown, I liked Calabar's Revenge even more, and Halloweentown High was okay. I was curious to see how the story would conclude in Return to Halloweentown, but overall I found this to be easily the weakest movie in the franchise. Despite a few moments of inspiration, I just felt the story was not all that interesting. The premise here involves Marnie Piper going to a magical school, and I'm surprised it actually took until now for the series to take influence from Harry Potter, considering these were coming out at the height of its popularity. However, the school here lacks a lot of the whimsy of Hogwarts. It's just an ordinary university with only a bit of magic sprinkled in. The students not even allowed to use magic, although a major plot element is that they perform spells behind the teachers' backs anyway, so why even have the rule? It's not even like it's something that affects the story that much. The plot mostly involves the teachers trying to take over Halloweentown because they're evil. I did not find the villains and their plan to be all that interesting, and the movie even throws in stereotypical mean girl characters for Marnie to deal with. Speaking of Marnie, I should probably talk about the most controversial aspect of the movie among fans. Instead of having Kimberly J. Brown reprise the role, someone decided to recast her with Sara Paxton. They went through the trouble bringing back Judith Hoag as the mother, Joey Zimmerman as the brother Dylan, Debbie Reynolds for about 5 minutes, and even Lucas Grabeel from the last movie, so it's odd that Brown was not invited back, and she has said she really wanted to do it. Part of what made Marnie so likable was the spark and genuine enthusiasm for Halloween that Kimberly J. Brown brought to the character, so the whole situation is a little disappointing. However, I do think Sara Paxton did a decent job in the role, and at a certain point I put the recasting in the back of my mind. Meanwhile, while Sophie was barely in Halloweentown High, she is completely absent here, with a couple mentions of her doing magic elsewhere. However, Emily Rose had retired from acting at that point, so it's at least understandable why she was not in this one. The odd thing about Return to Halloweentown is how un-Halloweeny it feels. It's just kind of a generic fantasy world, or at least as much as the budget allowed them to dress up the sets in Utah. It does not come across that the characters have stepped into this strange and fantastical alternate dimension like in the previous movies. Marnie and Dylan just look like they took a bus ride to the next town over. I was also surprised to see the mother revert back to her personality from the first two movies, of her being upset that Marnie wants to go to a magic school and not a normal university. I thought we already moved past this, but she then calms down after a while, and I actually enjoyed her storyline of dealing with her children having moved out and using magic at a real estate job. Most of the story has Marnie wandering around which university, and none of the conversations she has are particularly interesting or funny, so I found a lot of the middle act to be a slog. Interesting enough, I found one of the highlights of Return to Halloweentown to be Lucas Grabeel as Ethan. I did feel he brought quite a bit of charm to the role and has a few nice scenes with Paxton, whether it's the awkward reunion or their later romantic moments. Him trying to overcome the actions of his father from the previous film also provided some okay development. I did think the story picked up in the third act when time travel gets thrown into the mix. That section has some imagination, with Paxton even having to act against herself. It's also interesting seeing more of the backstory of Halloweentown. Overall, Return to Halloweentown is a harmless enough decom, even though the story is largely underwhelming, and I felt it was lacking a lot of the magic, whimsy, and humor of the previous films. Even the stakes felt surprisingly low for a movie where the villains are plotting to take over Halloweentown. The movie just seemed to miss that sense of wonder. With Disney often looking to resurrect their earlier franchises, I can absolutely see them making a fifth Halloweentown movie in the future, as the series remains nostalgic for many. Kimberly J. Brown has said she would love to make one, and with the passage of time, I feel there's a lot they can do with it. Logically, it'll probably have Marnie raising her own family of witches and warlocks, and hopefully something that brings back more of the Halloween spirit of the first two films. And even though Debbie Reynolds has since passed away, I can see a fifth movie paying tribute to her in a nice way. In any case, it's been fun going through this franchise, and I understand why it left such a big impact on viewers. Now, if you've seen Return to Halloweentown, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Graham.